Hi, everybody. This is 1,108 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, under the trust of the DES, Thomas Kane, under the trust of the military leadership there. Um, how can a soldier go missing from the barracks room on Fort Bliss with everything that we give to the security of our military installations, with everything, all the monies, all the trust, all the equipment, all the contracts, the surveillance footage, and then where is the surveillance footage? So we're going to talk about that today. Um, Lots of tampering in Richard's case, and so it's coming to light. Everything's coming to light, and we're exposing it. And sometimes it seems like bad news, but my grandmother, my Oma, I called her Oma, um, miss her so much. She said when you're cleaning out closets and drawers and that, she goes, you're going to have a little bit of a mess before you have order. And I think that's what we're doing. We're cleaning out the closet here. And the closet has some dead bodies. The closet has some real criminal activity. The closet has crimes against children, crimes against humanity, of course, narcotics trafficking and weapons smuggling, um, organized child sex trafficking, um, any kind of human trafficking. It's organized, and most of it is women. If it's human trafficking, it's mostly women. Um, Very clear that major crimes were going on, and I want to talk a little bit about Richard and his interests. So here I'm on. I can see you. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. And we're getting to the bottom of this because what did we just expose? Park University's involvement in this. Absolutely. Park's interference in the investigation into our son and more. See, one leads to the other. You think it's just one simple thing, but no, God's opening up a door, and we're seeing other things going on with other people within Park University, the conflicts of interest, the um, the tampering, the tampering with witnesses, and that's really really shocking when it comes to Park University because it just seems like there's such an abuse of the system. I mean, we know that our military being um, absolutely entrusted with billions and trillions of dollars, and our volunteer sons and daughters, right? They're voluntary, has been controlled on top by 4-star generals, and we have 43 of them right now. Um, yeah, it used to be 44. It's 43. Thank you, Senator Tuberville. I hope I have that name right. Um, because McConville has not been replaced. And I don't know, I said the other day, I don't know how I hope this is not happening, that General McConville can just walk away, that he can go into his retirement in peace with all of the funding, with his uniform, with his stars, with his ribbons. I don't know how that is happening, if that's happening, because if I had any say so, it would not be happening. And I'm just a little mother wanting to know what happened to her son. And by all of this happening, I have been victim and the witness to absolutely major crimes. Major crimes by General McConville. And you know, I think the person that has never had that close of an experience, it's very hard to believe because most of us love our country and we have, um, you know, as many problems as we have. We don't realize that that is because we've been infiltrated. That is because I think we lost World War I and World War II. By this point, in this investigation, when finding out everything, so many opinions have changed since 3 years ago. And I will tell you, I think we have been led astray by our leadership. Absolutely. We have been conned. It is interesting that the very person that gave that epiphany to our family was McConville, um, that we have been conned. Because our son, you know, Richard, I would have said 3 years ago, just a regular kid. He's not. He's so extraordinary now. He's extraordinary what he did. And he paid the ultimate price. But young, eager, um, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I mean, the very first time we saw him, absolutely beautiful. Both boys and their eyes, and my grandsons have those eyes. You know, um, so it is to see the reaction from the military. It was so clear to us that we were being lied to and that so many things were tampered with. And for this last week, for the affidavit, that notarized criminal complaint affidavit by Leilani Hart, that I will tell you, there are so many crimes in that affidavit against minors. Um, the confession, there's so many confessions in there. The failure to report. There's so many. I did. I did make a couple notes here. Um, just on the child abuse that's in there. The child abuse, physical, emotional, sexual, against minors, major crimes, child endangerment by Leilani Hart leaving her friends' children with her, this is her words, her danger to minor's husband. Okay? So she said no minors should ever be around her children. And yet she left her friends' children with him and her sons who were engaged in incest, were engaged in this abuse. So this is child endangerment. To leave your own children with a known pedophile for 3 months, to leave them alone, um, that's child endangerment. So you've got child abuse, you've got child endangerment, you've got sexual offenses against minors, right? The exploitation of minors. You've got the child pornography, the allegations of distributing, producing, possessing child pornography. These are very serious crimes. Child neglect, when they're not cared for properly. Contributing to the delinquence of a minor. When you have, well, the incest is illegal. So you're enabling minors to engage in incest, in an illegal activity. And then it became adult. Then it became an adult, which became, then then Dallas is, in the military, totally illegal and harmful. But you're contributing to the delinquence of a minor. You're forcing one on another, and major physical harm where they have to go to the hospital. Yeah. The unlawful conduct with a minor. That would apply. So the charges just with the child abuse is enormous. But what about the illegal purchase of a weapon, the illegal sale of a weapon, the illegal possession, the possession of an illegal purchased weapon? I mean, that is, I wrote some notes on that too. I wrote it down. Illegal possession of a weapon, the illegal purchase of a firearm, the unlawful sale of a firearm, possession of illegal weapons, and then you have the intimidation, the threats to kill. Yeah, it's there's so many crimes here. And I'm just going over it to see if there's clues. If there's clues. If there's clues that it is a false allegation. And a sworn affidavit. This is the other thing, and I wrote some notes about that too. If Leilani Hart is going to swear by notarizing, which makes it a sworn affidavit, if she's going to notarize her criminal complaint Um, the allegations or the criminal charges that can be uh, upon her for making false statements in a sworn affidavit is huge. Is huge. And the reason why, we're wanting to look to see if this was a possible false, there's so many allegations in this, false allegations, is because of her history of false allegations using the system to destroy people, right? To destroy people's names and characters. And you see that Richard's case there at Fort Bliss, I guess, has learned from Lolani Hart. They want to put out criminal uh, smear campaigns to hurt the character of those that they don't want their stories to get out, of those that might complain against them or hinder their business plan, hinder their bottom line. They might not like the child sex trafficking and the child pornography. Absolutely, Richard reported that. Absolutely. If he saw it, he would report it. No way would he let that continue. No way. I'm absolutely sure of that. And so, he really wanted to get into law enforcement. That was his passion, was law enforcement. He wanted to be CID. So, if he wants to be law enforcement and CID, how dare CID Marlon Soto lodge a smear campaign on our son to make him out like he's a criminal? See, that was what was so insane. Is Richard watched every detective movie series, Sherlock Holmes, read the Sherlock Holmes series. You know, he wanted to be a detective. He wanted to be an interrogator. He wanted to be a law enforcement agent. He wanted to investigate, get the bad guys, because he didn't like bad guys. He wanted to get the bad guys off the street. He had no interest in breaking the laws. And that's why his great respect for law and order is why they can't find anything. That's why they've tampered with his file. We have it from the military archives, right? The National Archives that has his military record is proof that they have sanitized his record. And there's other information in there that reveals how they have tampered with Richard's file and how they've tampered to clean themselves up a little bit, but also to get rid of any evidence. To get rid of evidence. But see, we have it. We have the evidence. And we know that the criminal complaint affidavit that was notarized was part of Richard's file. That Richard's file began before he went missing, because he put in those CPS complaints and CID complaints. And we're working on a few more things behind the scenes that will absolutely shock you, that involve Park University. And so let's see if they will um, respond to our requests for information, uh, because we want to see if they're forthright, if they will um, tell us what we already know, if they're on the level, if they're on the level, if they really do want to help us. And that's why the plea has gone out to Anna Whitehead. And I've been mentioning her for the last 3 live streams, I believe, because she's the academic director there on Fort Bliss for Park University. She knows what's going on. She knows about Leilani's false allegations and complaints that were made. Look, it's not to just a student. She made it to a judge, Judge Michelle Morales, and her attorney husband, Leonard Morales. She made complaints to a female professor that lost her job, and it was a false complaint. And she also lodged a sexual harassment complaint that was false against John Stewart, who was the regional director at the time. He's now in Florida. He left. He works for a different university. So, you know, using the system, making the connections, trying to get rid of those officials and high positions, dirty their name. Is that for political reasons? I'd like to know. Is it for that they didn't want to participate in the Vanity Fair of Leilani Hart and her cohorts? Is that why they were, there was these false allegations against them? These are all very good questions. Because if she retaliated against them for not going along, and Richard did not go along, and here she is, Richard really had something on. Richard was, when you went to the mall or you went to a park with Richard, he's one that would sit. He would sit with, like my dad, like Rob, his dad, his grandfather, his Opie, and they would people watch, quietly, people watch. That's who he was. He was observant. And he saw something. And then he pulled on a string. He reported something big. And those in the CPS don't want it to come out. They don't want it to come out, which is illegal. The lack of transparency. And I posted that up because it just shows the illegality, and also it indicates some conflict of interest. Why doesn't the CPS want us to see Richard's complaints? Why doesn't the Director of Emergency Services, Thomas Kane, we have the name for the CPS person too, but for Thomas Kane, why doesn't he intentionally not want to get back to us? Why does the judge intentionally not want to answer our questions? Moves out of there. Why is McConville retiring? Because, yeah. Why doesn't several others not want to respond to our open records requests? What are they hiding? Because it shows a collusion. It shows really a conspiracy. It shows a conspiracy and a collusion to do a lot of harm, to be up to no good. And so that's why we're putting it out there. Because Park University, and also, the common denominator is, and I don't think it's, well, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I know, they're a clique, right? They're a clique. They stick together. But during the COVID, they could use their privilege because they had to get a pass to go to the temple, which was over in Mexico, because there's no temple on the stateside in that area. So they could go and use the border crossings. And we know from the other day, all of the drugs coming through Santa Teresa port of entry that was caught. Um, that is a port of entry that is favored for any kind of illegal transportation and smuggling and things like this. We know that. So many things have happened in 3 years. Pretty naive 3 years ago. I did not even have a clue that it was this bad. And so I have a lot of patience and a lot of mercy, a lot of grace, a lot of understanding for the greater populace that really don't understand the magnitude of this case. They they just can't wrap their heads around it, that this would be happening. And the normal reaction would be, what are they doing wrong? What are they doing wrong? No, we have wrote kind letters, open request, open file requests, letters over and over again. A call to DOJ to help us, um, outreaching to the generals to help us over and over again. We've done our rallies, and we've reached out to the CID in so many different ways. We've reached out to the media. We've reached out and we've called them out. Because at the very beginning, when Richard first went missing, when we first called, we didn't have to reach out to anyone. Everybody was calling us. And that's when, the smear campaign was going on. Now, if I was a reporter and I had gotten the smear campaign version of Richard Halliday's case, and now 3 years later, we're finding out that the CID's involved in the demise of bodily injury and harm of the soldier, that there's unanswered autopsy reports that show partial remains in different locations. And that there is a notarized criminal complaint affidavit that is absolutely vile and vulgar, but shows criminal intent and motive. I would be calling the family. Let's straighten this up. Where is Stars and Stripes, right? So you can see that at the highest levels, it is true that there are conspiracies, that there is collusion. It is true. And just with the Interpol, that they would use, let me show you that. I have some pictures with the Interpol. And I don't know if I should show you the ones that are high numbers. Let me see, where did I put them? Yeah, here they are. Let me get this here. See if I can work it. Yeah. There it is. Whoops. There we go. Okay. So here is a comparing of, this is the Interpol photo that was put in. And this is Richard, right? 25%. And, I had a lot, we were all together saying, this photo doesn't look right. This photo doesn't look right of Richard. Something is weird. There are things about it that are Richard, but it looks like it's been combined with another face. And so we look, this is 25%. This one is 9%. Okay? 9%. And of course, the angle is different, but that doesn't matter so much because of other photos that we have compared. Very interesting. Here's one that should be, it's a little bit closer, 32%. Richard's not smiling, so it's like, okay, let's find one that he's smiling. That's just 21%, right? Okay, so let's compare him with Dallas Hart. There you go. Dallas Hart, 78%. Now that's that's a little shocking, you know? Let's do another one. Oh, there's Dallas Hart again. And this picture, 79%. Now we went back. Let's go back to Richards. 32, 9%, 25%, 9%, 32%, 21%. Let's go to Dallas. 78%, 79%, 73%, 72%. See, there's that side view a little bit. 72%, and even a little fuzzy, right? I don't know. Let's see if there's one more. Yeah, this one. This one is very interesting. Who is this? Because that's an 86% match with this. 86%. You see, because these eyes are closer together than with Richard. You see, Richard, the eyes are much further apart. Much further apart. Yeah. It's been tampered with. It's been, the pictures were tampered with. And hello, thank you. Mitzi, thank you so much. Thank you, Kathleen, for coming on. It is, there is a lot of tampering with surveillance videos. There's a lot of tampering with Richard's file. There is a lot of tampering just with transparency, not releasing the CPS complaints, not releasing the CID complaints, not releasing Richard's records properly, and not the whole investigation the way it has been conducted is botched. And so I want to mention this because a botched investigation, what are the legal ramifications? That is our question. Because there's another case that is absolutely botched too. Really botched. There's another, it is in connection with Richard's case. So there's two botched cases that involve the same people botching them. And not all the same people, but there is common denominator. And I will be able to tell you more as the information comes out. But there's a lot of money involved, y'all. And to be able to stand up against this is a huge risk. And they know that. And that's why they haven't offered any security for us. We've had to take our own security measures because of the intimidation. Because we have exposed that they have tampered. We have evidence that they have tampered and botched our son's investigation. Because it is a murder investigation. And the perpetrators, they have connections. And we know that with what's going on at the higher level, that if you have connections, you can get away with murder or attempt to get away with murder. It just depends what we want as a people. Because we have been assaulted for decades and decades, inch by inch, slowly. It's death by 1,000 cuts. It is taking over our Department of Justice. It is taking over our law enforcement agencies. It's taking over our very high-ranking military offices, billets, which takes over control of our equipment, of our weapons, of our ammunition, of our technology. Absolutely. So I think it's really important for us to get some courage and fight like hell. Who said that? We're not allowed to say fight like hell now because that means violence or something. Anyone that knows me knows I'm not a violent person at all. And all we wanted from the very beginning is to know what happened to our son. Our son's missing. Where is he? Why aren't they responding to our open records request? Why are they getting angry? Why is Thomas Kane not? I mean, he has all of the surveillance footage, knowledge, the in and outs of the gates. He's so important in this. And it's taken almost 3 years, really 3 years to figure out who he is. And I think I even met him at one of the meetings. But my goodness, we have to get a law degree. We have to get in a private investigator's um, education. We have to get a media education in order to get to the bottom of what happened to our son. I mean, is that what they're requiring for us to do? And at the same time, we have to have our own security, and we have to have courage because the retaliation is real, y'all. And you're going to find out as time goes on what we've had to deal with behind the scenes. Because the crimes are just that big. They're just that big. It's just snowballed out of control. And it's become big money because how else are people you know, they're going to be bought off because they're trying to make ends meet because they are trying to pay for uh, multiple households because of the morality of our culture has disintegrated, broken the family up, or, caused all these conflicts of interest. If you know what I mean, read between the lines. The sex cults, the demonic cults, they're real. And, you know, I, I guess I've patted myself for so long with things that are beautiful and good and wonderful and um, that I realize that I don't want the ugly, the demonic, the sex cults. I don't want it. And if that, so I'll stand up. I want my son. I want my son. I want to know what happened to him. And, if these autopsy reports are correct and that and I've gotten nasty messages, that we'll never find him, they, um, even with like acid, that they poured acid over him and stuff. And there's all these rumors. I'm going to tell you the rumors that we're hearing about the tunnels that are underneath Fort Bliss. They even run underneath Park University. That's what I heard. Now, y'all can correct me on that, but they run even outside. Um, and of course, we have the Van Buren addresses. And this tunnel stuff, um, I don't know if you know about it, let me know. But we're getting a lot of rumors on that. We're getting rumors about um, a man on a motorcycle. The surveillance footage caught a certain figure um, coming out of like a little garage with boxes. Um, Female there. We're getting rumors, intel, should I say intel, about the weapon, how it all happened. And, this was early on too. Early on, we were getting this information. And we haven't forgotten about that blue truck with the shaved handles, the lowrider that was about the color of my stapler, the top of my stapler, this blue color. That we have all kinds of information on, ownership information on everything. We haven't forgotten about that. And there's more, and there's more, because that's how convoluted this is. And of course, it has to do with going over to Mexico. Poor Mexico. Of course, it has to do with it. So there is no doubt, because of all the evidence by Special Agent Howell that absolutely confirmed that Richard's file was tampered with from the archives The National Archives and Military Archives that we received, Richard's file, absolutely. The file itself is evidence of tampered um, and deleted information. Also, a key witness, an officer of the court, reporting confessions of tampering with Richard's file and surveillance footage and video. Um, and more. So there is no doubt that Richard's file has been tampered with. And I'm just going to say he did something extraordinary, extraordinary. And we're going to find out more that will prove that too. Because that's all coming behind the scenes. So if you have any questions, absolutely, I'll be glad to answer. And, his personal items were tampered with. And we were lied to. We were lied to over and over and over again. And they withheld very important information. And part of that is the phone dump, the what do you call it? The tower dump or tower, yeah, maybe that's what it's called. So it's not just all the surveillance video footage that they have that they tampered with. It's more. And they did witness intimidation. And they tampered with witnesses. And this is 100%. We have it on record proof. And we have more. What we have shown you is just the tip of the iceberg. And if Leilani Hart's notarized criminal complaint affidavit is just part of the tip of the iceberg, wow. Wow. So we're just, we put out some requests today, and we'll see. When you have the answers, the reason why you put out the request is to see if who you're writing to is an honest broker, right? If they are honest, if they are doing their job properly. Because, we're the ones paying them. They work for us. These are all these are all servants of the people. And, if I'm ready to hear about my son, which I've been from the very beginning, and this is when it was the unknown, they could have said anything about Richard. And they did. They tried. But you see, they have nothing. Because Richard never pleaded guilty to anything that they put out. Nothing. There was no proof. Nothing. Just a bunch of tampering. And it implicates, of course, General McConville, of course, General Garrett, who have run. And, do you think that they called before they retired and said, oh my gosh, what kind of hell have you been living through? What kind of hell have we put one of our families, of our most valuable assets, through? They don't care about our country. Because if they cared about our country, they would care about our countrymen. And they would care about the land. and they don't. So, and this is all controlled. I'm going to tell you right now, pedophilia is out of control. Out of control. You think they've got us with the doggy cults? The pedophilia is out of control. We're talking about our children here. We're talking about our children. They are out of control. And I'm just going to tell you, they're pushing it. They're pushing to grow it. And we need to, I don't even like really talking about it because I think we need to uh, focus on a different way of life, a beautiful way of life, and a safe way of life for our children. But these leaders, they are just throwing it in our face. And I'm just saying, be very careful with your children. Be very careful. Because they're protecting them. They're protecting them. Richard called them out, and we'll see if we can get to the bottom of this and expose this and make arrests. Make arrests. Because even the criminal affidavit is those, all those crimes are arrestable offenses. So, thank you for your prayers. Thank you for coming on. And God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing.